Hello guys, my name is Anastasia. On this channel I talk about investing and especially investing for beginners. In today's video we are going to talk about cryptocurrencies. But before we start, please forgive me for my football fan t-shirt yet again. I simply cannot find another one and I thought it's not that important. On top of that, don't try telling me that football is more exciting than crypto. For me it's definitely not, and in today's video we are going to talk about two of the most exciting projects that I've seen in recent time. They are called Olympus Dao and its native token OHM, and Wonderland and its native token Time. So we will talk about the similarities, the differences, advantages and disadvantages, and I hope that by the end of the video you will understand which project is more interesting for you and where you want to invest, or maybe you will decide to invest into both, and this is exactly what I did. So let's start. Okay, so the first and the main difference between the two projects is the network where each one of them was built. OHM was built on Ethereum network, and Ethereum network currently has about 65 to 67% of all the transactions that are made on the crypto market. And Time Wonderland was built on Avalanche network. This is just like Ethereum, but it is a newer, smaller and much cheaper. So what are the advantages of Ethereum and advantages of Avalanche, or disadvantages? So Ethereum is obviously big and the most stable. This is the advantage. But the disadvantage is very high gas fees. So in order to buy your first token of OHM and stake it, you would have to pay about $200 to $300 of gas fees. Therefore, if you want to invest just a little bit into OHM, it simply doesn't make any sense. So you cannot invest you can invest $100, but you would still have to pay $200 to $300 worth of gas fees, because the gas fees, they don't depend on the size of the transaction. Whether you invest $1 or $1,000, the gas fee is going to be exactly the same. Ethereum is planning to introduce a new, let's say, edition of the network soon. They promised to do it this spring 2022, and then the gas fees will go lower. But this is just the future plans. We cannot be sure that they will happen. So for now, Avalanche network is a much cheaper alternative, where in order to buy and stake your time tokens, the gas fees will be less than $1. When I bought my tokens and when I staked them, I didn't even notice those gas fees because they simply were so little. It was just a matter of a couple of cents. Now, the disadvantage of the Avalanche network is obviously it is much smaller. The percentage of transactions that take place on Avalanche network is only about 3%, which is much less comparing to 65 to 67% of the transactions that take place on Ethereum network right now. So there are people who think that as soon as the market turns and gets bearish, Avalanche network is going to struggle because there is simply not much money invested into it at the moment. And you cannot buy time tokens on Ethereum network, but you can buy OHM on Avalanche network. This token will be called WS OHM, wrapped staked OHM, and if you decide to do that, you will obviously avoid these high gas fees that I told you about, and the price of these tokens is going to be exactly the same as the price of normal OHM tokens on Olympus Dao website, but they will be already staked. If you want to do it, you have to go to TradeJoe and you want to swap AVAX token, which is the native token of Avalanche network, for wrapped staked Ethereum. The problem here is that the liquidity is not always there, so sometimes it is impossible to do it. So you have to check the liquidity. Depending on how many tokens are left in the pool, you will be able to perform this transaction. Okay, and because of the difference in the gas fees, I think that OHM on Olympus Dao is more of a long-term investment, simply because it doesn't really make sense to withdraw your profits every month or every couple of months and every time pay these high gas fees on Ethereum network. Therefore, if you want to invest for passive income and you want to withdraw this income every single month, then I would probably suggest you invest into Time Wonderland, because with this token it's not a problem to withdraw every month because the gas fees are low. Another important detail, which also comes out of the difference in gas fees, is the amount of money that you want to invest. Since the general idea behind a Time token and OHM token is the same, because Time is essentially the fork of OHM, depending on how much money you have to invest, obviously the difference in gas fees should make your choice easier. If you have only a little sum, like a couple $100s, then it makes sense to invest into Time. If you have only a couple of $100s, you will not even be able to invest into OHM because you'll end up spending all of your money on gas fees. When I say OHM, I mean OHM on Olympus Dao. Obviously, you still can invest into OHM on the Avalanche network. Okay, the next difference, or something that you should pay attention at, is the developers team. So the developer, the main developer of OHM, is called Zeus. And this person is quite active on Twitter. You can hear the interviews with him on YouTube channels, but I haven't seen his face. I don't know, maybe someone knows how he looks and where to find his face, but I personally couldn't. So even though he is sort of publicly known, he is still hidden and, let's say, anonymous. If he was walking along the street, I wouldn't recognize him unless he looks like that. With Time Wonderland, it is a bit easier because the main developer of this platform is Daniele, and he is publicly known. You can see him at different events, interviews. We know exactly how he looks, and this is how he looks. And this person is quite well known in the crypto community because he is also the developer of Abracadabra money platform, which is a much older, stable, and also popular platform. So when the developer of the project is known to the community, the chances of it being a rug pull are much slimmer, simply because if they perform the rug pull, there will be no future for them, and everyone will know who to blame, everyone will know where to look for the scammers. So with either of these projects, I don't think it's a rug pull, I also don't think it's a Ponzi scheme, but it's only my opinion and you are free to think differently. Right, if you don't have time or you don't want to listen to these two people, to listen to what they have to say, I've listened to many interviews and I can tell you that both of them are, of course, super clever, intelligent, and I like the way they talk. They both are able to explain their future plans, so I know when I invest into each of these projects, I sort of know what to expect in the future. But if I had to choose who to become friendly with, I'd probably choose Daniele, simply because Zeus, I just don't understand this idea of giving yourself a god's name and not show your face. I find it a little bit weird, although because I'm not going to be his friend, I don't really care much. Talking about advantages of OHM over Time, there is one advantage that is very hard to argue with. So OHM is the first currency and Time is only a fork. There are many forks and many copies of OHM nowadays, but OHM was the first one. This is the protocol, this is the project that came up with the idea of the crypto reserve currency, the bond idea, the stake idea, etc, etc, etc. It was all originally developed there. And if you think about all the coins that are available right now, Bitcoin, for example, is not necessarily the best coin in terms of usage. It's slow, it's expensive, but it is the best place to store your value, and it is compared to the gold in fiat money. So if you are in crypto world, you probably don't think that Bitcoin is going anywhere anytime soon. So my understanding of OHM and its forks is pretty similar. OHM is maybe not the most practical coin because it is on Ethereum network and the APY is relatively low for comparing to its forks, etc. But it was the first one, and people tend to trust the first coin more than the other ones, even though I tend to use the other ones more often. So even though time is only a fork of OHM, there is also one advantage and one difference that time has. And to understand this difference, we have to look at how the treasury of time is built. So the treasury of OHM, as you know, consists of two things. It's the rewards from LP tokens and the tokens that you exchange through bonds for a discounted OHM. So with time, the first two sources of how they increase the treasury are exactly the same. But they also buy a lot of OHM, and originally they wanted to have 33% of OHM in their treasury. And I don't think they are at 33% already, but they keep on buying the OHM when the price is good. And Daniel from time to time posts his tweets on Twitter about how many OHM they bought and how many OHM they hold now. And the good thing about having OHM in the treasury of time is that it doesn't only increase in value over time, but it is also staked, so the treasury grows much faster because of the 8,000% APY that you get now for staking your OHM on Olympus Dao. You can argue that this is also a disadvantage because obviously if the price of OHM goes down, the price of time will go down as well, but as a fork of OHM, the price of time would probably go down anyway. This is how the market works. And maybe they changed their plans and that's why they don't have all of 33% of OHM in their treasury. I'm not sure what's going on there, but all I know is that it is good to have OHM in the treasury just because it makes treasury grow so much faster. Now let's talk about things that you might think are the advantages, but in my opinion they are not really. And the first thing is the APY. APY right now on OHM is around 7,500 to 8,000% per year, and on Time Wonderland it's about 70 to 80,000, so it is much higher. And if you look at it, you think, well, why would someone invest into OHM when the gas fees are so expensive and the APY is so low? But if you look at the history of the APY, the historical graph of APY of OHM, you will see that it also started very high and at some point it went above 100,000%. And the APY usually depends on the price of the token. So when the price of the token goes up, the APY goes down, and vice versa. So now, as the project gets older and older, the APY goes down, and in the future it will most probably keep on going down as well. So the APY definitely shouldn't be the only reason of why someone decides to invest into this certain project. Speaking about the APY of time, it is, as I said, 70 to 80,000% per year, but it is a much younger project and it was launched only about a month ago. And can you imagine where this project and where this APY will be in half a year? I predict that the APY is going to get down as well, but with Time Wonderland, from what I've seen, the price and the APY don't correlate as much as with OHM. I am not sure personally why this happens, it's just something I've noticed. Maybe you know the reason of why it doesn't necessarily work like that. If you do, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below this video, I'll be very happy to read them. My guess is it is actually connected to the treasury and OHM inside treasury. Maybe because of OHM inside the treasury, the value of treasury grows much faster, and therefore there is no such a strong connection between the APY and the price of the token. But just like in the case of OHM, you cannot invest into time just because of the high APY, because APY is going to change. It changes every day, it changes during the day, and the APY that you have today will definitely not be the same in half a year. And this is one of the reasons of why I see no point, absolutely no point, in calculating how much money you will get in a year if you invest a certain sum today, because it will always be based on today's APY, and the APY will definitely change. So to me it's just a waste of time. Some people were asking me for the calculators. I don't have them, I don't use them because I don't see the point. Okay, the next difference between the two projects is this DAO thing. So what is DAO? Olympus Dao and OHM. And DAO means that it is governed by the community. So when something has to be decided, there is a pool and people vote, and depending on how people vote, the decision is taken that way. With Time Wonderland, there is a team of developers, and out of this team we really know only one person, who's Daniele, and whatever they decide, the rest have to follow. So no one has a word to say. On top of that, Time Wonderland says it openly in their documentation on the website that the platform hasn't been checked, it hasn't been audited. And it is good that they are so open about this information, and to me personally it's not a big deal because it's a new project and I'm sure it will get audited at some point, but right now no one has basically checked this platform, no one can prove that it is legit, and it is only up to us whether we believe into this project or not, whether we think it's a rug pull or a Ponzi scheme or another sort of scam, or we believe that it's a real project that has the bright future. It's only up to us, and we can base our opinion only on things we hear on YouTube, we read on the internet, or we hear from Daniele as the developer of this project. So I think these are the main advantages, disadvantages, differences and similarities between the two projects. I hope you found this video interesting, and I also hope to see you soon in my next videos. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.